Hey there, I'm Coach Micheal Burt, the Super Coach. Every week I come into your life really to do three things: multiply your life, multiply your money, and multiply your business. And if I had to say anything, reactivate your prey drive, which is that instinctual ability to see something and have the courage and the intensity and the focus to go get it. So today's topic, guys, it's a good one. Something I think about a lot. There's plans that I put in place. There's plans you need to put in place, which is how do you go from a baby star in your industry to a big star? How do you become known? How do you work the right networks? How do you play at the highest frequency? Today's topic, guys, baby star to big star. You're watching Super Coach, and I'm Coach Micheal Burt.
Everybody needs a coach in life. Coaching businesses and entrepreneurs like you to spike an additional 40% to your bottom line. Micheal Burt is a multi-championship coach, best-selling author, trainer, motivator, and all-around super coach. Now, from the Greatness Factory Studios, this is Super Coach.
Welcome to Super Coach. Coach Micheal Burt, live from the Greatness Factory Studios. What's up, Monster Nation? Michael Kennedy, Nicole Bird, Justin Myers. Justin gave a donation to you, big guy. I hope you got that. I hope it helps the troops with the care basket. Every single week I come to you, and I really want to give you something. I want to give you something that'll help you. And when I was putting my notes together for this show, I constantly think about what problems do I have? And if I have those problems, there's a good chance, Leo Martinez, that other people have those problems. And one of the biggest things I see out in the world is incredibly talented people that are trying to make some acceleration to a higher frequency. Okay? And there's certain things that can elevate you. There's certain things that can give you the cred. There's certain things that can catapult you to bigger stages. There's certain things that could get you on a higher playing field. There's certain things that can produce more revenue for you, i.e., what you're trying to do is go from this baby star out in the world, and no disrespect there because I'm a baby star, to this big, gigantic star, this famous star, this world-renowned star. So if you've ever said to yourself that you don't have a talent problem, but you got a marketing problem. You don't have a skill problem, you've got a obscurity problem. You don't have this real problem of knowing what you do because you're really, really good at it. Your real problem is not enough people know you. Like I was on last night with Tim Story, with my good friend Tim Story, and I was on his Sunday night conversations that take place. I was on there with Gerald Washington, who was the producer for the Family Feud, Little Big Shots. I was on there with James Barber, who does Phantom of the Opera. I mean, I was on there with some players. And here's the deal. It's not that you're not good enough to be on these things. It's people just don't know you. And you got to become known, guys. So today we're going to talk about 5 steps that I'm personally using to go from a baby star to a big star. Zach Raines, thank you. Sherry Job, Will Webb. I want to help you go to a big star, man, because it's so unfortunate when you're out there in the world and you're such a talented person, but nobody knows it. You got a great product or service that can solve problems, but nobody knows it. You got all of these skills that nobody knows it. And I didn't even think about marketing really for the first, I want to say 5 to 10 years of my career as a business coach. Like most of my business was organic. Most of the business came in because I was speaking and coaching and training, and we were getting leads through referrals. And then I figured out, man, there's only so far you can take that. There's only so far the organic reach can go until you got to learn how to be a great promoter. You got to learn how to be a great marketer. You study P.T. Barnum. You study some of the great marketers of their day. You know, and so one of the things you got to know is it's not always the best people and the most talented people that win. It's not the best country music singers in Nashville that become big stars, guys. It's not the best people that always win. Sometimes it's talented people that are great marketers. And so you got to figure out, how do you become this great marketer? So today on Super Coach, you don't have a talent problem. Let's just call it what it is. I think you got a marketing problem. I think you got a distribution problem, which means you don't know how to distribute your message to the masses. You don't know how to distribute your message to the world. You don't know how to package it. You don't know how to sell it. You don't know how to make this transition from baby star to big star. So I'm going to break it down into 5 steps. So let's get started. Number 1 step, if you want to go baby star to big star, is you got to decide to go pro. You got to decide to go pro, man. I always say, Jack, when you decide to go pro, you leave your amateur desires behind. Joe Giglio. You leave your amateur desires behind, and you understand, man, if you're going to go big, you got to go big. You got to build the right partnerships. You got to get around the right people. You got to get on the right airplanes. You got to have dinner with the right people. You got to make a decision to go pro. Now, let me tell you, when you make this decision, it's going to be incredibly inconvenient. Last night, me being on Tim Story's thing, I got on at 8. I didn't get on till 9. I didn't get home till 10. I didn't get in bed till 11. It's inconvenient, man, if you want to go pro. But that's the time he has it because he's in California. It's 6 o'clock his time, 8 o'clock my time. I've been on TV shows, guys, at 4:30 in the morning. I've traveled and spoken on Saturday nights, Sunday nights. First thing you got to do, man, is you got to make a decision to freaking go pro, which means you got to leave your amateur desires behind. It ain't going to be convenient being a big star. The big stars show up 4 hours early. They practice. They work the muscle. They get in the gym. They get training. They get the makeup on. They get on stage. They do the deal. Then they sit around afterward. Like, you got to decide to go pro, man. Preparation. So here's the 4 things I put when you go pro. Number 1, you got to prepare like a pro. You got to prepare like a pro. Number 2, skill development. You got to build world-class skills to go from a baby star to a big star. Let me tell you why. It's one thing to get in the room. It's one thing to get on the podcast. It's one thing to get on a show. It's one thing to get in front of people. But it's a whole nother thing to be good enough to get somebody's attention. Skill is what wins. And once you get in the room, skill wins. Getting in the room, marketing can win. Third thing when it goes pro is relationships, man. You got to understand the relationship capital game. You got to understand to go pro, there's people who can elevate your career. There's introductions that you can make that can help you play at a higher frequency. Like, you got to make a decision to go pro in your relationships, which means building out a top 25, working your feeder systems, distributing emotional support to people, getting in a room with people. Listen, in a given week, I may spend time with $300 or $400 million guys or girls. Like last week, I spent time with at least $200 million people. Okay? How do you get in a room with these folks? How do you have something they want? How do you have skills that they know you're legitimate? And then your outcomes that you produce indicate that you're a pro. So step 1 of going from a baby star to a big star, some of you are not ready, man. You're not ready to go there. Your skills are not strong enough. Your preparation is too weak. Your relationships are too nimble. And your outcomes just ain't enough to go pro. Step 1, you got to make a decision. The word decide means to kill off. I'm going all the way. I'm pushing across the line. I'm going to be a big star. This is a decision you got to make. 19 years old, I made a decision. I want to be the head coach at Riverdale. 22 years old, I make a decision. I'm going to be a championship basketball coach. 25, I'm going to be a best-selling author. Right? 31, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to own my own jet. I'm going to do these things. Like these are decisions you got to make if you're going to go from baby star to big star. Number 2, you got to understand the rules of engagement. If you're going to go from baby star to big star, you got to understand the rules of the game. And the rules of the game say this, Jack: the best people don't always win. I remember coaching these country music singers in Nashville. And I was coaching this particular band, and man, they were struggling. They didn't have any money. They had some talent, but they didn't have incredible talent. Like, go back to that primary skill. And they were watching these other people become big, famous country music singers like Luke Bryan and all these people. And I remember listening to them tell me, oh, that person can't sing at all, and he can't sing at all, and he can't do this. And I'm like, look, man, let's get real. That person that you said can't sing just made $40 million this year, okay? You made, I don't even know if you made $40,000. You don't understand the rules of the game. Right, Travis? Right, Karen? Samantha? The best people don't always win. The best marketed people are the ones that win. The best people who have the best connections, the best outcome, the best, right? Like I know skill development's important once you get in the room. Like, you got to be decent. But you can't just be average. But my point is, the rules of engagement tell me, Jack, the best people don't always win. The rules of engagement tell me that your real problem is obscurity. Do you understand the importance of becoming known every day? And reactivation of drive. Why do you think I'm doing more videos? Why do you think I'm pushing out on Instagram? Why do you think I'm traveling all over the world? Why do you think I'm on shows? Why do you think I'm writing articles? Why do you think I'm doing boot camps? To become known. Obscurity is the problem. Number 3, you need a niche to dominate. Okay? You need a niche to dominate. You need to go deep in one area where you are the number one person in the world. Like, I want to be known as the number one activator of prey drive in the world. Okay? That's what I want to be known for, right? That's it. That's the niche. Flip the switch, baby, which is why I'm writing the book, doing the boot camp, looking at doing a reality TV show, trying to get on other people's TV shows. Like, that's the number one thing, okay? I got a niche. Now, what else do I need? A distribution of a message to the market at a higher frequency. You need to be distributing a message at a high frequency to the market. You need to be seen. Like, some of you post one time, it's like throwing a pebble in the Pacific Ocean. You think one post is going to get you known, it ain't going to get you known. You need to be distributing a message to the market over and over and over and over. Now, you're going to lose some people. You're going to lose the bozos that say he distributes too much, he tries to sell too much, he promotes too much. Listen, none of them people are paying my bills. That's what I would tell you. The people you lose ain't paying you bills. They would never buy anything from you. They don't care about you as people. They're going to be right there. They're never going to be there with you when you make it big. They'll be the same ones that when you make $50 million will still be saying something negative about you. So don't get all worried about it, man. You lose a few Facebook friends because you promote too much. Who cares? They weren't friends to begin with. You could go in there and clean out 3,000 of your friends right now. I got 5,000 people as my friends. I lose 2 or 3 a day, Jack. I could go in there and clean out 2,000 and wouldn't miss anything, okay? So you need frequency of message distribution, and you need a sales cycle behind you, which is why you need the legacy selling system, the book I wrote on that. Most people have an idea. They have a book. They have a message. They have a concept. They have no idea how to distribute that concept to the world. Let me give you a better way. They have no idea how to monetize that concept to the world, which means make money with the concept. Part of being a big star is baby star to big star. Last night I was watching this interview with Vanilla Ice. Patrick Bet-David was interviewing Vanilla Ice. And think what you want to about Vanilla Ice. He sold 163 million albums. He had one major hit, and he sold 163 million albums. Now, you tell me if that was distributed at the highest levels. That is distribution of a message, guys. I remember a time in 1997, Patrick Bet-David said you could go into a country bar, they were playing Ice Ice Baby. You can go into the Mix Factory in Nashville, they're playing Ice Ice Baby. You could go anywhere in the world, and they were playing that song no matter what type of music it was. It was so big that one hit, boom. What's your one hit? See, I have buddies that tell me, like, man, you're going to make it big, Coach, when you have one big best-selling book. Well, here's the deal. You don't write a book for it to be a worst seller. You don't know what's going to be a bestseller until you put it out. Do you think Harry Potter, they knew Harry Potter was going to be a best-selling book? Do you think they knew when they wrote that book it was going to be a best-selling book? No, they didn't know. Did you think they knew Chicken Soup for the Soul was going to sell 500 million copies? No, they just had a concept. So what you got to do is you got to keep going. Boom. Concept didn't work. Boom, new concept. Boom, new concept. Boom. And then you find it, and then you push it as hard as you can out into the frequency. We come back from the break. We're going to talk about steps 3, 4, and 5. Today we're going baby star to big star. If you're out there, you know you're good. You know you're talented. You know you got some skills. Your biggest problem is just distribution of a message, man. And how can you become known to more people on planet Earth? That, my friends, is how you go baby star to big star. When we come back, we're going to talk about raising your person of interest score. We're going to talk about the right person, meeting the right person, and we don't know who that person could be. And then we're going to talk about staying focused and working the muscle, becoming so good that they can't ignore you. I'm Coach Micheal Burt. Come on back to the next round of Super Coach.
This month in Monster Producer, I'm coaching people in how to get on the same page with their team. And one of the constant themes I hear over and over from every team I coach is how do we get these people on board? How do we wake them up from a complacency? How do we get them to operate at the highest frequency?
What's up, Doc?
I've been teaching the concept of a thunderbolt, a strategy I learned from the great Pat Riley, which is a sudden, unexpected jolt of energy. The thunderbolt can be positive, it can be negative, but it is always a curveball to make the team think, to make the team perform, to make the team come back to life when they've laid down. Get in Monster Producer, and let me teach you the strategies I use to build world-class, championship-winning teams.
Welcome back to Super Coach. Every week you can download this on Stitcher, iTunes, right? Podcast Republic, YouTube. Go back and watch this, man. I spent the last 17, 18 years of my life trying to be a big star. Not for just the fame, but for the number of people I can help. You become famous, the more leads you get. You become famous, the more known you are. You become famous. It's so much easier when you become a person of interest, when you go from a baby star to a big star. Like, right? It's so much easier on you when you can take this step and really become a big star. What would TV do for you? What would radio do for you? What would podcast do for you? What would becoming known do for you? So I see so many people. It's like they're good, they're talented, they're still local. Nothing drives me crazy worse than being a regional or a local person. Okay? I don't want to dominate the local yard. I want to dominate the whole yard. Okay? And you got to make up your mind. Some of you want to dominate your backyard. That's fine. Do that first. Then start asking, how do you dominate the whole area? Then how do you dominate the United States? Then how do you dominate the planet? Like I did a video last night, Jack, about how to become a single-digit millionaire. And here's a stat. In 2017, there were 500,000 Americans that earned over $1 million of personal income. There was only 4,000 people who climbed Mount Everest. I mean, 500,000 people is a lot of people. If 500,000 people could become a millionaire, you could become a millionaire. So the whole video I did was like single-digit millionaire. This is my formula. This is my process. This is how I did it. This is how I went from a high school basketball coach to what I'm doing today. This is how I transitioned. This is how I leveraged this. This is the breaks I had. Okay? And so at the end of the day, none of it happens if you're not an incredibly hard worker and if you don't have some talent. Okay? But as I said in segment 1, you got to decide to go pro. Step 2, you got to understand the rules of engagement. And there are rules of engagement to getting on television, to becoming known, to marketing and distribution, to ClickFunnels. Like, you got to understand how the game is played, right? Number 3, okay, is how do you raise your person of interest score? Persons of interest are key, fascinating people in the world that people are interested in. They're people that are doing big things, like Vanilla Ice selling 163 million copies. Jocko Willink, I was watching an interview with him. He was this famous Navy SEAL, right? Then I was watching an interview with Bernard Kerik, who was the commissioner of the New York City Police Department during 9/11, who ended up spending, 3 years in prison because he didn't pay taxes on a nanny when President Bush asked him to lead Homeland Security. It's crazy. All of these big-time people paid a tremendous cost to be big-time. Vanilla Ice said he was sued for the song Ice Ice Baby. He had to go back and settle to buy the rights to the riff to that song. Like he said, man, people come out of the woodwork when he became famous. Now, so the question is, do you want to become famous? Famous means known, renowned, celebrated. That's what being famous means. You're known, you're renowned, you're celebrated. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that you increase the probability of making a sale? Do you increase your probability of being successful if more people know you? I do, which is why I wrote the book, Person of Interest. So when you think about this concept, step 3, raising your person of interest score. Number 1, you need substance. You can't fake being good, man. You may be able to market yourself into being good, but at the end of the day, people tell other people you're not that good. Maybe you get an opportunity, but you don't get 6 opportunities from every one. The way to really do it is every time you're on something, you're that good. And because you're that good, it expands your reach. Every day at your current job is an interview for your next job. Every day in your current role is an interview for your next role. So what's happening is every time boom, you're good. Then you're on stage, boom, you're good. And then boom, you're good. Next thing you know, boom, the right person sees it, you blow up. So what is raising your person of interest score? Optics. Optics are people see you moving about the planet. There's movement, there's circulation. You've got certain ingredients. There's perception. Now, Yeah, maybe one of the best compliments that I've ever gotten last night from a guy when I was putting out this video about, how do you go from where you are and transition to this maybe millionaire status or wherever you want to be. And I think it was a compliment. He was saying, man, there's perception and there's reality. He said, I had a perception of you, and then there's a reality of who you really are. Sometimes, like after watching that Vanilla Ice interview, I was like, dang, I like that dude. He's got depth. He's got breadth. He's got artistic. He went to design school. He can build houses. He can sing. He can, has had long-term longevity of employees that have worked with him. Like there's a whole lot more to that dude than just that song, Ice Ice Baby. I walked out of there going, I like him. I'd do business with that dude. Now, here's my point. He's known, okay? Perception and reality. When you are perceived to be a big-time person and people meet you and you are a big-time person, man, it's a game changer for you. Movement and ingredients. Step 1, decide to go pro. Step 2, understand the rules of engagement. Step 3, you got to raise your person of interest score. You got to raise your POI score. Step 4, the right person has to walk into your life. The right person has to walk into your life. I believe we're all just one person away from a new season in our life. You could be the best person in the world and nobody ever recognizes you. Nobody ever sees the talent in you. I was watching that Lou Pearlman show where he built the Backstreet Boys and the New Kids on the Block, and he kind of took these little baby stars. Now, NSYNC, he ended up being kind of a bad dude. Like he really screwed them in their contract, and he only paid them like $10,000. It was really, really sad. They made millions of dollars, but he would take them places, right, on his jet, and they thought they were going for free. He was really charging them back all that money. They just didn't know it. And it was showing how like NSYNC and how the very first paycheck they got, he took them to dinner at the nice restaurant and he gave them each $10,000. And they were like, what? Like we produced like $100 million. But to his credit, would there have been an NSYNC if it wasn't for Lou Pearlman? Would there have been a Backstreet Boys? Would there have been, like, he assembled the talent. He put them in front of the right people. He got them on stages. He helped them become famous. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because when I finished with Tim's story last night, he texted me. He said, man, there was a person watching that really liked you that's very influential. Now, where that goes, we don't know. What happens from it, we don't know. I have to follow back up with him. What's the next move? How do we get in there? How do we do this? How do we do that? It's one thing for them to like it. It's another thing for them to say, let's turn it into a TV deal, right? So what I said is you're one person away from a new season. You got to place yourself in a room to find that person. Then you got to follow up with that person. You got to see an opening and you got to attack an opening. Very critical. You got to see an opening and you got to attack an opening. So I go back to him and I'm like, hey, you said that person was very interested. Is there some potential there? What could we do together? This was a famous TV person that was on there watching last night when I was on his show. So number 4 is, man, you got to understand you're just one person away from a new season. I had a buddy once named Rick Clody, still a buddy. And he could go outside and in a matter of minutes find 10 four-leaf clovers. Think about that. Many people think it's hard to find a four-leaf clover. All because they think it's hard, they don't even try. Rick Clody would go out back, find 10 of them. So he was working on this book, I hope he finished it, called How to Find a Four-Leaf Clover. And it was about how to just be open to possibility. I don't know where the next person is that's going to blow up a career. I don't know where the next big opportunity is. I got to place myself in a position to be open to that opportunity. I got to see an opening, and I got to follow up like crazy. So I got one more segment. When we come back, I'm going to give you the 5th step to going from a baby star to a big star. Then I'm going to tell you 3 things you can participate with me coming up in July. I just finished an incredible boot camp. Man, it was incredible. 40 to 50 people. They loved it. I loved it. The whole Monster Growth System. When we come back in the final segment, I'm going to show you how to stay focused on becoming a big star and 3 things you can do, boom, 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 that I can help you get there faster. I'm Coach Micheal Burt. You're listening to Super Coach.
Hi, my name is Kelly Perry. I'm from North Star Insurance Advisors. I drove from St. Louis, Missouri, came in last night, and I really enjoyed the boot camp. I've been a part of Monster Producers for about 6 months now. Definitely increased my income. Came here for this weekend to see what else I can learn. Learned a lot. I recommend it to everybody.
Welcome back to Super Coach, weekly podcast I do every Monday. Want to multiply your life, money, business. Good coach should accelerate. You know, I was talking to a real estate agent today. He's doing a very small number of deals, 6 or 7 deals a year. I said, man, would it be okay with you if I helped you get to 24? Would it be okay if I helped you get to 30 or 40 or 50? See, a good coach should accelerate. I've been down the path. 28 years I've been coaching people. 18 years doing this business. 25 years old, I started writing my first book 16 books ago. I've learned the game. I've learned the rules of engagement. I'm in the game every day. I'm chopping wood and carrying water. I'm trying to go from a baby star to a big star. It's a grind, man. Every day it's a grind. But what I'm telling you is straight out of my playbook on how to get an elevation. I don't know when it's going to happen. Some people think, right, it's like finding that 4-leaf clover. Boom, the right person sees you. Boom, you're on the right thing. Boom, you do a great job here. Like, it happens. Next thing you know, you go from a little local star to a big star, right? And then people are like, oh, I knew him back in the day when he was a little bitty bozo, and he's grown up and flourished. So I've been giving you these steps. Number 1, decide to go pro. Number 2, understand the rules of engagement. Some of you are playing a game, you don't understand the game. You don't understand the game. Okay, number 3, you got to raise your person of interest score, optics, perception, and reality, movement. You got to have these ingredients I talk about in the book. Number 4, you got to place yourself in position to find the right person. Maybe the right person introduces you to hundreds of thousands of people. And number 5, you got to stay focused and work the muscle. Here's what I would tell you. T.D. Jakes said this, one of the best statements I ever heard. He said, I never set out to be famous, but I did set out to be effective. And the more effective I became, the more famous I became. And if you study his story, he preached in a small church in West Virginia that had no more than 100 people. And he said, and that even count the women who were pregnant. They didn't count the babies. He said, I preached for 10 years. I cooked the food. I preached the sermons. I cleaned the sanctuary for 10 years. Then he moves to Dallas and starts the Potter's House, right? It didn't start with 20,000 people in it. He said, I set out to be effective. Then I became famous. I think when you move a statistic in another person's life, you transform their life, you get them to a higher frequency, that's when you start becoming known. You are known for something. Your star power begins to grow. So what's the rule? Be good every time you show up and look for multipliers. Multipliers is where you can help large numbers of people. How do you take one deal and turn it into 500? How do you work the muscle to where you can multiply something at a very, very, very high frequency? And that, my friends, is how you go from a baby star to a big star. Now, let me help you. If you got a desire to speak, you got a desire to train, you got a desire to coach, you got a desire to write books. These are all things I've done. I've done them at a high level. I've spoken on stages with 10,000 people. Sold millions of dollars of coaching over the last 10 years, 12 years. Let me help you at my $1 Million Coaching Summit, July 9 through the 11th at my lodge. Spend 2.5 days with me. Let me break it down for you. Let me help you speed this up. You don't have to go at this alone, man. Why in the world would you try alone? So one option, spend 2.5 days learning how to speak, coach, train, lead, basically make money with the message. Number 2, if you're 18 to 35 years old, July 17th through the 19th, Flip the Switch Boot Camp. Already 20 people signed up for that. I'm only taking 40 people that I'm going to help go. I'm talking success school, baby. Everything I've learned. Okay, I just went back to the principal at my local high school where I went to high school, and I said, man, I want to come back and just do something for the kids that are juniors, going to be seniors. Because I went to a leadership academy when I was 15 years old called Broy Hill Leadership, changed my whole life. I want to come back and do that for my hometown. Flip the Switch, July 17 through 19. And then I've got a new product out, a 4-week mentoring program with me. It's $9.97. okay, where I coach you for 4 weeks in how to speak, coach, train, lead, write the books, do the deals, baby star, big star. We're calling it $1 Million Mentoring. 4 weeks with me. Okay, we're starting this puppy next week. You can get in right now for $9.97. Email me at coach@coachburt or DM me. Man, everybody needs a coach in life. I've really enjoyed teaching this. I want you to go from a baby star to a big star. I'm Coach Micheal Burt, the super coach. I believe everybody needs a good coach in life.
My name is Christopher Argote, and I represent Trusted Senior Specialists. We flew in from Houston, Texas, all the way here, and we believe that Coach Burt is an amazing influence into your life. Everyone needs to have a coach in their life, guys. If you stop learning, just imagine putting that sign up in front of your desk. I stopped learning a long time ago. So I want to better serve my clients and my opportunities. So I think everyone needs a coach in their life, and Coach Burt has definitely activated my prey drive.